If you follow my posts on Twitter, you'll know that I'm very cynical towards the media and the way it presents itself. I do not believe that media has completely usurped its role. It has given up its role as a disseminator of information and a chronicler of events. It is now a political player, and more often than not, it is moved by ideology and not facts. So I'm not at all surprised. In fact, not just me, the Foreign Minister of India, Mr. S. Jaishankar, when he went to the US, he was faced with a barrage of questions from the Western press, and he said that Western media has become too ideological against India. So it is actually an ideological project that they're doing, and even so in the media in India, it's the same. Just because of the fact that it is mostly, and even now after BJP being in power for more than 5 years, even now the media scene is almost reflexively set to the left. It is an ideological position, and they speak from that position. And from that position, what matters is not the truth, but the narrative. Then the narrative has to be propagated. It has to be done at the cost of facts. There is no objective assessment at all. And I'm not at all surprised for that. In fact, while I was researching for today's project for the podcast, I also came across a number of articles which are very far removed from reality. So it is actually incumbent upon the readers. What happens is that in the long run, the media loses its credibility, and the people who it is meant for, they take it less and less seriously, and they get their facts from elsewhere. So I'm not at all surprised by this, and I'm also not very worried. When you lose credibility, and I'm talking about media as an institution, then your ability to move the opinion of those who are at the center or those who are at the swing also diminishes, because then people don't take you seriously. Right. So that is one aspect. The second thing about the press reporting on Kashmir, one thing is that I do believe that in the earlier stages, when the when the reading down of Article 370 happened, and there was a lot of curb on communication, there was some difficulty for journalists to go there and report from there, but still some journalists did manage to do so. Even then, we had some misinformation campaign going on led by some Western publications, but still we had, nevertheless, some journalists were going out there and trying to give a good picture of what was happening. And I completely agree with Sunanda. The Indian government's main motto was to prevent the loss of lives. At a time when you have taken a momentous decision with far-reaching repercussions, and which might ignite a lot of passions in a very volatile situation, putting curbs on communication was the most sensible thing to do. And it is some people will suffer due to that collateral damage, but it cannot be helped. When the larger project is to integrate Jammu and Kashmir, people who have alienated themselves or who have been alienated for whatever reasons with the rest of the India, when you are taking these hard decisions, these momentary uncomfortable situations will arise, and they will have to be dealt with. To come back to your question on the press coverage, I think that this will also, as we go along, we will find that there has to be a generational change in the media as well, when you will find that the right, and this I've been saying this for a very long time. The right is very good at cribbing, but it is not at all good at building institutions. The right, or the non-left as it were, it has to put in place institutions that can nurture, that can serve as functionaries or centers of excellence, where people can come and learn and train themselves in objective reporting, and then those will serve as an alternative channel. And then slowly you will find that players who had gone far to the left or been led by ideology are being forced to come here, because people are moved by the other side. So that is a subject that's a long-run subject. I don't want to get drawn into it. And to answer your question, I think I'm not at all surprised by the way the press has handled Kashmir. It has never been objective about Kashmir, even historically so, and it is not objective now. So I'm not surprised. I think the Indian government takes these reactions into its consideration when it comes out with some sort of a response.
It is very, very true that what happened with us, the national media, the international media, didn't take cognizance. Now, international media comes later. National media didn't take cognizance of that. The political governance system did not take cognizance of that. And frankly speaking, we also didn't know what has happened to us. Again, because of technology, lack of communication, it took us so many years to see exactly, to assess what happened. We got to say that this was a pure genocide. You might have heard about Armenian genocide. You might have heard about Rwandan genocide. But nobody knows what happened with Kashmiri Pandits in independent. And, the successive governments at the helm of affairs in India kept it under the rug. Possibly, I think that it should not tarnish the image of the country, that it's a progressive country and this is what happened there. So they didn't want it to leak out. And perhaps India is a secular country, and they might have thought, oh, if we tell the truth, then maybe there will be a backlash. So we became sort of a sacrificial goat so that our news doesn't come. And there was a purported willful communications to the media to blanket. And I will give a small example. When we, 4 years ago, our logo, our letterhead, everything says acknowledgement of Kashmiri Pandit genocide and ethnic cleansing. Now, when we were initially hammering this genocide, media was not covering it. They were very hesitant to use this word genocide. There was a plan. There was a plan to convert JNK into a theo-fascist state, and we were a misfit in that. And I'm very happy that after post-abrogation Article 370, there was a question asked to the Union Home Secretary, this direct question, that was it a genocide? He did say that yes, it was a genocide. But on the contrary, when National Human Rights Commission in India told about it, they didn't use the word genocide. They used the word akin to genocide. So there is a full-fledged, willful campaign to put it under the rug, and we will never let that happen. We will make it reach to the world. We are doing it, and will continue to do